And we're back after a brief break. You're watching South Texas Crossfire with your host, Attorney Joe Flores. And don't forget our sponsors, River City Hospice. That's hope, dignity, and love. It's got to be hospice. And it's not what you think. Less than 40% of hospice patients have cancer. The rest are what? Alzheimer's, dementia, severe problems with their lungs and heart. They've had strokes. They have Parkinson's. Please give them a call to see how we can use this underutilized benefit. River City Hospice, 882-5900, whether you need a nurse, pharmaceutical supplies, whether you need medicine in the home, durable medical equipment, call them now, 882-5900 to learn more. And our other sponsor, Vasquez Flores Home Health, employing many people throughout South Texas, 300 employees strong and a couple of hundred patients, and we are taking care of those patients. Call Priscilla today, 881-9922 to see if you qualify, backed by over 20 years of experience. Priscilla Vasquez, RN, can see if you qualify to help people today, 881-9922. Now, I want to bring you all back. We're talking to a very important guest who's running for Nueces County District Attorney, and that is James Sales. Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you, Joe.
Well, okay, during the break, you said something interesting that caught my attention. You mentioned an 80-year-old bookie in the west side of Corpus Christi. Tell us about this 80-year-old bookie that we have brought, quote-unquote, to justice, or your opponent brought to justice.
One of the things that I was really disappointed in my opponent was he took the time and trouble in the media to go out to the home of this elderly lady on the west side who was doing some football bets or gaming or something of that nature. And in promoting himself, he put this elderly citizen whose son was a police officer who had been killed in the line of duty and embarrassed her in front of the whole city. I thought that was completely unnecessary. Shouldn't our resources be used on gang members, on pedophiles who are hurting our children, and on violent crime? Shouldn't the district attorney be in the courtroom prosecuting these cases and not out promoting himself at the expense of elderly citizens? That really rubbed me the wrong way.
Well, let me stop you there. Now, this lady was 80. Her son had been killed in the line of duty as a police officer. And let me guess, she was selling, which I think the statute of limitations has run. When I used to work in the hospital in the ER, we used to buy pots, football pots. And you know who you are out there who used to work with me. But people would buy it, and I'm not trying to downplay it, but it's like the 8-liners. Okay, people ignore that for months, years, and then they say, you know what, it sounds like a lot of people have told me in the taquerias and everything, they say every time the district attorney wants some good publicity, they'll go round up 4 80-year-olds with chain smoking inside of an 8-liner in Agua Dulce or somewhere. Is that true?
It does seem like discretionary prosecution, and you either need to go after them all or go after nobody. Don't just kind of pick your spots when it gets close to an election to get your name in the paper. That's pretty disturbing. Well,
and let's talk about, I mean, you're hitting some pretty hardcore areas. What criticisms do you have of the Nueces County District Attorney's Office as it is today, 2012?
I don't want to make any personal comments about the man himself.
Sure.
I don't like that type of politics. But I will say that the way that the office is being run is there is such a micromanagement issue going on that the prosecutors have numbers written down on their files that they cannot deviate from. Let's say a defense attorney comes up and says, well, hey, did you know A, B, or C? Well, we're sorry, we can't really do anything about that without talking to a supervisor. The prosecutors are treated like children. That's one reason why there's a mass exodus from the office, because they're not treated as professionals. The cases are being backed up. They're not going to courts as quickly as they should be. If someone picks up a possession of a marijuana case or a criminal trespass, their cases aren't ready within a couple weeks because there's such a backlog of review. A prosecutor looks at it and then it has to go to a supervisor, has to go over this very much same thing again. So the cases are getting backed up, but those aren't just cases, those are people. Those are people who have jobs, they have wives, and they can't get their issues resolved in a timely manner. It drags on.
The victims
and on.
Either, right?
And the victims, if they've had property that was damaged or stolen, they're not getting their restitution in a timely manner because of how the office is being run. Understand the needs of the victims and the needs of the people. They're more than just files. They're people, and we can operate better, and we can operate more efficiently.
Well, okay, like I was talking to a couple of voters, all right? Now, your opponent is well-liked by both sides of the aisle in some circumstances. We have, you know, independents, Republicans, Democrats that know that name ID. It's powerful, as yours is, okay? Now, they're saying, what do I care about some criminal that is backlogged? Why should I care that defense attorneys are inconvenienced or things aren't running efficiently? As long as we're hitting hard sentences and trying cases, that's what I care about. More bars, more prisons, and I want to feel safe when I come home at night, and I don't want to feel like I'm worried while I'm at work that somebody's breaking into my house. I hear that over and over again, and they say, I don't get it. I mean, why should we care about the politics of the DA's office? Just get the job done. How do you respond to that when you're talking to all those voters, when you're talking to a couple of 100,000 voters here in Nueces County?
It's costing you money. It's costing you money. All of these delays are costing you money. If your home gets burglarized in January and you have a witness on your street that saw it happen.
Sure.
Well, if you get that case tried within 3 months, chances are pretty good that you'll get justice. If it takes 2 to 3 years to get that case to trial, well, maybe that witness moves. And you no longer have the ability to get that person and to get your restitution. So the longer a case is in the system or takes to get in the system, the less likely are you as a victim are to get justice.
So are you saying that some of these cases are backlogged 3 years?
Sure, absolutely. Felonies are, and the misdemeanors, misdemeanor, there ought to be a turnover within 2 or 3 months, but there are thousands of cases that get reset each week because of the ineffective way of this gets handled. Yes, there are people that are accused of crime. People make mistakes. They have, but should their family members be paying for those mistakes too? The moms and the dads who are paying for the bonds or the different fees associated with it. Let's get to justice and let's get it quickly. Now, you know, if you have violated somebody, if you have hurt somebody, you shot at somebody, you're not going to get an inch of sympathy from me. I'm going to try to put you beneath the jail. But my opponent never practiced misdemeanor law. I have practiced everything from traffic tickets to capital murder, death penalty. I know the difference between someone who's made a mistake and someone who's a career criminal, and you have to treat people differently. You have to treat them according to what the actual crime is. You can't treat everybody the same like that.
You mentioned also in our past discussions, you mentioned that he has not tried a case in a long time. Now, how do you back that up, that statement that you stand on record saying that he doesn't try the cases in his office?
Well, his own literature, the own forums that we've appeared at, he acknowledges that he hasn't tried a case in the 2 years that he's been in office. It's his position that the role of the district attorney is to be a policymaker. My position is it doesn't take 40 hours a week to make policies. If you're taking 40 hours a week to make policies, you have too many policies,
okay,
and you're handcuffing the people in your office
right,
and preventing them from actually doing their job. We have a high turnover rate. I think the people expect the highest paid lawyer in the office to be out there representing their interest. I told someone just the other day, if his sister were killed or something horrible happened to her, the defendant's going to go out and get the highest paid, the most experienced lawyer that they can. Well, isn't the victim entitled to the same type of representation?
Sure.
So I think our most senior lawyers handle those types of cases, but also the district attorney ought to go in there and train the younger lawyers and make sure that they can best protect the victim's interest down the road.
Well, and right now, you know, the leadership in there, it's not just Mr. Skirka, he also has division chiefs.
Correct.
Correct? Okay. Would you modify or change, if elected in November and sworn in January, how would you change what's going on right now? You've pinpointed the problems you see and you've been in the inner circle there. How would you change it?
Well, you take the handcuffs off of people. You let them do their job that they're trained to do.
Discretion?
You actually give them some discretion to do cases and to see fit and the criminal histories and whatever the facts are that fit the crime, and not just here's a stamp, you know, you can do nothing about it. There's a reason, Joe, that I received the endorsement of the Corpus Christi Police Officers Association, is because there is such a confrontational relationship between some members of the district attorney's office and law enforcement that they're not working well together.
Wait a minute. Wait. You're not the district attorney yet, but they endorsed you. The
Correct.
police are on your side. They
Yes, they
endorsed
are.
you.
Yes.
Okay, and why is that?
Because
Why are they taking it out on Skirka if it was his department that made them mad or inconvenienced them or didn't work with them well?
because there's an attitude problem. There is an attitude that, hey, you work for us, you don't work with us, we'll tell you what to do. And the whole attitude, and if there's a police
From
officer...
the district attorney to the police, they're talking down to him like that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and the Police Officers Association gave me their endorsement. They're on my side. Plus, they know that I back up. I don't just I back up my talk. I don't just talk the talk. I walk the walk. My opponent hasn't been in trial in 2 years, and I plan on being in court. If a police officer comes into the office and says, "Hey, will you look at this case for me?" I'm never going to tell them, "I don't have enough time for you, officer. Come back another time," because that officer is the one that's out on the streets at 2 o'clock in the morning, pulling over a car with tinted windows when I'm at home at night in bed. So the least a prosecutor can do in an air-conditioned office is say, "Officer, come in. How can I help you? Thank you for coming in." There was just a policy that was just either yesterday or today saying police officers can only come in between 1 and 4 Tuesday and Wednesday and one other day of the week. That's it. Don't come into our office unless you have an appointment. So apparently, I didn't know that criminals started just scheduling when they committed crimes. So officers can only do this. We have to always be available and accessible to the police officers because their voice is the voice of the victims. When you tell the police we don't have time for you, you're telling the victims we don't have time for you, we're too busy for you. We will never be too busy for the victim. We will never be too busy for the police officers. We'll always be ready to take action and do it quickly.
Well, and let me ask you this, you know, politics, and we've talked politics, you have taken heavy punches in the past. You have run for office and people have attacked you. You've been tried to be poisoned. You've been threatened with death threats 4 times. When you ran, they tried to do a smear campaign on you in the past that hit the media. That was, you know, in my opinion, was a smear job by your opponents. But, you know, how do you come back from that when people say, didn't that, you know, wasn't there something in the news? And, you know, how do you respond to the media that gets whipped up with something like this years ago, but they always bring it back? I mean, you could have a parking ticket or spit on the sidewalk and you run for office, everything comes out. So how do you respond and tell the voter, look, you know, I'm wanting to serve you and I'm not perfect, but.
I trust our voters. They know that the Office of District Attorney is about putting criminals behind bars. It's about creating innovative programs to target our at-risk youth at the juvenile level so they don't get into the system as adults. Let's bring in former gang members. Let's let the former gang members talk to them and say, listen, let's talk about being a family and canales. It's all lies. The young people are being used as crash dummies to sell drugs while the older guys are at home safe out of the chain of custody from the police. I trust the community to listen at the qualifications, listen to the ideas, and to vote accordingly. As far as everything else goes, that's really, you know,
that's politics.
It's out of your control.
Thick skin?
You develop thick skin.
So I guess you're not perfect, right? Yeah, last time I checked, I wasn't either.
The only person I've known about that's walked perfectly on this earth is Jesus.
Right.
And I certainly don't claim to be that, but what I do know is I've worked hard for this community. I've put my life at risk for the community.
On the line, really.
I've done my best to have their back. And what I'm asking is all people, West Side, North Side, South Side, to have my back on November 6th. And I would really appreciate their vote.
I always tell everybody in the last 30 seconds there, you knock on a door, it's somebody that's like, no way, I already made up my mind. I'm voting for your opponent. You're not going to change my mind. but you have 30 seconds to tell me why I should change my mind. Knocking on a couple of 100,000 doors right now on Time Warner subscribers and viewers. What do you have to say?
When someone breaks into your home or someone vandalizes your property, they don't care about your party. So what do you want in the person leading the district attorney's office? You want credibility. And what you know now is the office has no credibility with juries. They're losing cases left and right. They've lost confidence of the judiciary because they don't take the office seriously because of the ineffectiveness. And the office has lost confidence of the law enforcement, which is why they gave me their endorsement. If you want the people representing, if you want the lawyers representing the people to have credibility, ask for your vote. I will restore the credibility to the office.
James Sales running for Nueces County District Attorney, throwing down the gauntlet, challenging Mark Skirka, saying, I'm going to take you on 15 rounds, November 6th, Election Day. I'm telling everybody, and we're bringing on your opponent. Is that okay with you, Mr. Sales?
Of course. This is what this country is all about.
How about a debate maybe down the road?
I would love to.
Oh, you're open to a debate. Awesome. Well, November 6th, but don't forget, let's register to vote now, today. Don't wait till November 6th, because if you're not registered, you can't vote. And plus, there are some places ask for government IDs, and we know what's going on and all of that. You know, don't let them suppress the vote. Have your government ID ready. Go out there and vote. Get registered. Get organized. And whether you vote Republican, Democrat, or Independent, get out there and vote. Don't forget to, because your vote is your voice. We're out of time, but again, James Sales running for Nueces County District Attorney, and I forgot also your contact numbers. How can people get involved if they want to sign, volunteer, donate to your campaign?
361-779-4992 is my cell phone, text messages. I'll return your call and we'll handle it that way.
779-4992, that's 779-4992, and you can also visit him on Facebook at Facebook/James Sales.
Correct.
And get out there, get organized, get voting, and again, James Sales wants to be your district attorney. Thank you all, we're out of time. God bless.